Hello, loves. Today I have Erin Balm, owner and creator of Starfall, with me to talk to you guys about how product photography and creating quality product photos for her business has increased her sales and increased opportunities. Erin, can you tell us a little bit about what it is the work that you do and how you got started doing it?
Sure. I would say I got started uh, about 5 or 6 years ago, and I started out with crochet products, and that was kind of my passion. And I love making cute little animals and different things like that. And so I started out there, and I recently, I would say last year, it's been a year now in January, that I pivoted with that and I invested in a glow forge with the funds that I had made with my crochet work. And so for the last year, I've been kind of feeling out the market and for glow forge items and figuring out what I love to do there and what I can offer as a product that I'm proud to stand behind and offer to my customers.
And you're still doing some of the crochet stuff as well, right?
I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing more of product launches for crochet where I say I'm making X amount of these things. They're limited editions
Mm-hmm. I
and
love that.
offering them at the time. And then that I used to take just orders. I would offer up like one or two things, and then I'd put them out. I'd launch them, and then I'd take orders. And I found that was really kind of stressful because
Mm-hmm.
I take too many orders. Where now I make what I want to make, and I make however much I want to make, and I offer it out. And then when it's gone, it's gone.
I love that. Can you take us back to when you first started and tell us a little bit about what it was like to try and take product photos of the first couple pieces that you made?
So I knew nothing about photography when I first started. And I had this little digital camera that I used that we had bought just basically for family photos and stuff. And so I was using that, and it was really low quality. The pixels were not good. And so then I would take those pictures and I'd load them onto my computer, and then I'd edit them with whatever software was on my computer. It wasn't anything special.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would just call it good because I didn't know anything else about photography at that time.
So at that
And
time, what were you trying? Like, did you try to, did you buy like a light box, or how were you trying to solve like some of those problems? Like, what problems were you experiencing and how were you trying to solve them?
so then that's where I got into the light box. My husband made a light box for me. It was just very simple and small.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I remember I had shop light, like those little clamp on metal shop
Mm-hmm.
lights on the side of my box that would clamp on. And then I had cutouts on the side with tissue paper over them, and I'd use that. And that was a little bit better, but the light was nowhere near enough
Yeah.
for what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was still doing a lot of editing and a lot of trying to make it work. And I belonged to a group, paid group on Facebook. And it wasn't photography, it was mainly a sellers group, but they touched on photography, and they were like, oh, well, you need this app and you can just totally white out the background, totally just make everything white. And I was like, that's for me. And so I did that for a while where everything would white out, but it wasn't an app. You had to like tell it where you wanted the
Yeah.
white. And so you couldn't get complete white out around your product. And so there would be some weird shadowing that looked strange, but I was like, good enough. So
And you had to
I
do
did
that
that.
for every image, right? Like separately?
Yeah.
Yes. So it took
Yes.
a lot of time.
right. And they
Yeah.
still, and some of them looked really strange. Like I've heard you say before, they kind of floated a little bit. And so, but everybody's like, white is the thing. You need white. So I was like, okay, I can do that. So then after that, I spent some time doing that. And I was like, this is just not working for me. They don't look good. And so my husband, again, he installed a huge shop light in my craft room. And this is about the time I met you, because this has always stuck with me. And I was like, how does she know? Because I took this photo of, I remember it distinctly. It was two crochet dinosaurs and two dragons. And by that time, I had graduated into using Hobby Lobby, like those cardboard things where you have scenes on it. It had like wood, and then it had brick on the background. And I'd do them like, photo setup like I do now, except they were not good quality, but
like poster board.
Yes, poster board. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And so I was using poster board. So I had my poster board set up and my shop light on that was super bright from the top. And I took my picture, and I'm totally happy with these pictures because I'm like, they're all bright and they're even lighting and all this good stuff. And you made a comment and you said, well, I love this picture and, it's super cute and I love your product, but it does seem to me like you have a really bright light from above that's casting some harsh shadow underneath your product. And I was like, how in the world does she know that?
So for those of you out there who aren't part of the Maker's Method, we do a lot of stuff inside of it called reading light. And really, yeah. I don't know if you've enjoyed like those assignments, but when we go through and we look at how the light falls, what direction it comes from, and all of that, my students actually love that process because they actually learn a lot, going through these images and seeing how I can pinpoint where the light is coming from. And all of that just based on the reflection, shadows, and everything. That's awesome. So you're like, she knows her stuff, right?
Right. So I was like, huh. So that kind of stuck with me. It bothered me. And I was like, maybe this isn't the best. And it's been such a long process, it seems for me, that it took years for me to get to where I am now. But that's when I met you. And I was like, So I got into your group, and I remember posting different pictures and you critiquing them. And I got into your training, and it was such an eye-opener for me. I was like, whoa, there's so much I did not know or understand, and I was like everybody else, is like, I just need a better camera. I need a better, my phone's not cutting it. And I was so overjoyed when you said, you can use your phone. I can teach you to use your phone and take good pictures. And I was like, oh my gosh, praise the Lord. Because, I was like, I really didn't want to have to invest in all the equipment and all of those things. So for a while, I started then trying to do the natural light like you taught. I took the class of using natural light, using the diffusers, but I live in North Dakota, and I have one good window that faces the right way to get any kind of sun exposure. And the window that I have it's not like a clear window. It has like slats and stuff that go through it up and down. That makes,
the lines,
and so you would get, those would interfere with the lighting. And but I tried it anyway. I was like, I'm going to put a diffuser over it and I'm going to see what happens. And I still chased the light trying to do that. I noticed that a lot of times my photos, while they were better than having the really harsh overhead light, they still would get shadowing on from the side where the sun would come in, and the side that was away from the sun even with a whiteboard there, there was still some shadowing there that I was unhappy with. And a lot of times being, light is not consistent, it would be pink a lot or blue. Those were the things. I didn't have yellow too much, but pink and blue was a real big thing. And so while I was happy, I was starting into the composition of things too, staging pictures, getting better at that. And while I was happier with the staging, I still wasn't happy with the lighting. So then it came to the fact of I need something more consistent. The light window is not going to do it for me. I need something different. So that's when we started talking. You were like, well, you can invest in stand lights and I can teach you how to use them. And, so that's where I'm at now, where I basically have 2 stand lights that I position, and I use the diffuser board and I use whiteboards to direct the light where I want to go. And I find that that's really, really helped me get the kind of consistent lighting and quality pictures that I'm looking for.
Yeah. And you have not made the light box, right? Like the light box design that I did? No.
I haven't. That's my next move, is where I'm going to move to that, because even with the lights, and there's a lot of times where I'll use the lights and for a light box setup where I'll put one on each side.
Yep.
I'll put the whiteboard over the top. I'll put a diffuser in front, to direct the light back into the box. And even then, sometimes I still have light fall off sometimes.
Yeah.
That I struggle with. And so I'm still trying to master that, I guess you could say.
And I think, so one thing I forgot to mention is that Erin's been with me pretty much since the beginning as well. She's an OG. I had Ani Christie on yesterday, and she was
I watched her.
Yeah, original. Yeah. As well. And I think that it's been a learning process for me as well. Because when I talk about this a lot, but when I started as a maker myself, I knew photography, right? So I did not necessarily struggle with taking my own product photos. And I actually found that when I first started off with all the fancy equipment, I was like, this is just too much. Like this isn't necessary. So that's when I started downgrading to my smartphone and started downgrading to an editing app and just kind of streamlining that workflow. But when I first started working with makers, we focused a lot on natural light because it was free. And that was kind of the concept that we first started with is hey, a lot of people starting out with their own businesses, they don't have a lot of extra, income and resources when it comes to, the financial side of it. And it's important I always had such a hard core focus on creating ideas and options that were less expensive. And I mean, light's free, right? But the problem that I found with that is because it changed so much, because there was no consistency to it, because all of our light is different. That's something I talk about a lot, is I could do a specific setup right here in this room with me, and I can move to the next room and my setup's completely different because I have different light on the opposite side of the building I'm in. And then, you're in different states. I've got some students who say the winter months are just so dull and gray and I cannot get enough light. So I started seeing this pattern of, okay, we're chasing the light, we're fighting the light. There's not one setup that's working for everybody. And it just became very complex and kind of technically difficult. So that's when we started working on the light box and doing artificial. And that's when I found that those who jumped on board with that concept and started building either an artificial setup or building the light box design, it was streamlining their results. They were getting those consistent results. They weren't fighting with everything. So that's awesome that you started to see results there. So can you tell us, so first off, as far as sales, when you started getting quality photos or higher quality photos that actually showed how adorable your products are, because you just create some of the most adorable products. I absolutely love them all. Did you see an increase in sales? or an increase in
Absolutely.
attraction or people noticing you more? Because I know that you do a lot of social selling versus like driving traffic and stuff to your shop yourself through social media. So did you
Yeah.
feel like you were getting noticed more?
Yes, definitely so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because, being able to capture, you can have an excellent product, and you can have something that is adorable. But if you can't show it,
Mm-hmm.
to your customers, if you can't show it to your target market and have them be able to see what you see,
Mm-hmm.
then, you're not going to be able to, get the sales that you want. And that's something that I really realized. And being able to create something and also photograph it to make it look the way I see it in my mind's eye, the way I want it to come across. And then when I get that perfect shot and
Right. I love that you just said that, because I always like, to me, and I think it's just the creative in me, but to me, like photography is just that creative extension of like the creative work. It's like an extension of the creative work you already do. So you had a visualization for this product, right? Like you thought about it, or creating it specifically for someone. Like there is some visual like concepts behind the creation of this product. And that's what the photography aspect is. It's making that vision come to life one step further. So you created it, it's there, and now it's like almost like the cherry on the top of the sundae is getting that picture that just like brings that entire vision to life. So do you enjoy the photography process more because of that? Like when you can bring your products to life the way you were inspired by them?
I do. I really enjoy being able to, one, take my own pictures, like, because so many people outsource their pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And I am happy that not only do I create the product, but I create the branding behind it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's important to me, is knowing what I want it to be, what I want it to look like, the feel that I want it to have, and how people are then perceiving that.
Yeah, you get to keep control over the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And that's important to me, because I definitely feel that I have a certain type of branding. And I've had people that follow my work and have seen it like other places. They'll find my pictures on like Pinterest or something
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't put there. Somebody else, they're in
Oh,
somebody
goodness.
else's folders or stuff. And they'll know it's me. They'll go,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I knew right away when I looked at
Yep.
this, that it was you. And then somebody
That's the
actually
same with
sent
me.
me.
I can scroll through Facebook and I'm like, oh, hey, Erin.
And I had a friend do that. She goes, a friend of mine sent me this picture and said, isn't this the cutest thing? And she was like, oh my gosh, I know that girl.
That's funny. Oh, small world.
Like, I know who took that picture. So that's rewarding to me, because that's my brand. People notice that and can associate it with me and say, that's her.
Yep. And that's your work that you're doing. Like, and that's, I don't know, that's, to me, that's one of the best parts about creating and then bringing it to life in those images so that everybody can experience it like you do. Let's talk a little bit about not only the increase in sales or increase in just, attraction and engagement that you've been getting, but it's opened up some other opportunities for you as well, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
We can. It's kind of interesting to me, because I am really just focused on doing me. I was working my business and just taking my photos and trying to be the best that I could be at what I was doing. And when I pivoted, I had to kind of start over I still had my photo aesthetic. I was still kind of the same feel, but it was a totally different product, and I was in totally new territory. And I had to get into like a bunch of Glowforge groups and surround myself with those people and learn what they were doing and what was working. And through doing that, I was buying a bunch of files from a bunch of people, and because I don't make my own files for the Glowforge, and I would buy people's files and make them, and then of course I would do what I do. I'd paint a lot of them and then photograph them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite file makers, I bought a lot of her files, and she really just loved my aesthetic of photos. And she, yeah, I first started out that I became a file tester for her. She would let me have files, or I could ask her for certain files, say, hey, I want to try out this file. And she would let me have it for free. And I would do it, and then I would take pictures and post it in the groups, which would then help her because people would see them and like them, and then buy her file as well. And they'd say, I want to make that too.
Yes. And because of the quality of your pictures, they were noticing. They were, you were stopping that scroll. They were noticing the quality of the pictures, noticing the product, and that was helping her as well. Yes.
Exactly. So that happened, and I was like, this is awesome. I'm liking this a lot. And then she messaged me one day, and she was like, I have another file maker that saw your pictures of my product, and they were like, do you have some kind of arrangement with her? Why is she doing this for you? Do you think she'll do it for me too? And I was like, what? And I was just totally taken aback by that. Because I was just doing my thing. I wasn't expecting my thing to turn into other
opportunities.
Wanting people wanting me to do my thing for them. And so I discussed it with him for of what he wanted from me, and he was like, yeah, I'll just give you my files, and you can pick whichever ones you want and do the same thing you're doing for her. Would you do it for me? So I was like, sure, I'll do that. So now I have like 2 sponsors. They sponsor me and with their product, and I make their files and then take pictures of them and post them around, which then pushes sales for their files to them. So it's a very beneficial relationship, and I feel that it's, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool because I didn't go looking for it. It just came to me.
That's awesome. People started to notice. That's the big thing here, is we're noticing. Yeah. So the benefit for you is you get the free files, and then you can actually use the file like as a commercial type usage and actually sell the product that's being created with the file, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was buying their files anyway.
Yeah.
Because I love both of their work anyway. It's just a nice perk.
Yeah.
For everybody.
That's so awesome.
So the other thing that's happened as well is people have started approaching me and saying, can you take pictures for me that I can use?
Yeah.
And I did that recently, and it was a lot harder than I anticipated it being. There was a lot, it's a lot different taking pictures for yourself and doing what you want with the pictures and being happy with them, than taking them for somebody else and making sure everything's perfect. And that was a little bit more of a challenge for me. And I feel it was a great learning experience, but it really helped me learn that I have more to learn.
Yeah. Well, we all do. I do myself. You know what I mean? If we're not learning, we're not growing. So we should always be learning, right?
Right. And so that just was a big learning experience of like, hey, you do take some great pictures, but you still have some things to work on, for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, that's been a surprise as well, but cool. It's nice to be noticed. I mean, for your work and to be appreciated for your work.
Yes. And I have definitely been noticing you myself.
Well, thank you.
I just absolutely love the stuff that you created. Okay. Really, that's all I got for you today. Is there anything that you would like to add in regards to just your experience as far as um, how you feel now that you feel like not only do you have some of the answers that you want, but you can always come to me and ask those
Yeah.
questions, right? So having somebody that you, because you, and here's the thing is I absolutely love and encourage my students to reach out when they have questions, because that's just what fills me up. Like that allows me to do the work that I love to do. So how is that for you, having somebody that you can like turn to and ask questions and feel like it just takes the guesswork, you don't have to guess anymore.
That is an invaluable resource.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would encourage anyone to take your class. It's well worth it. It's an investment in you,
Mm-hmm.
And where you want your business to go. And then having access to you, whenever I need you, like if I can't get a photo set up right, or if I can't get the props right, or if I can't get the lighting right, or I just can message you at any time and
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, can you help me with this? I'm really struggling and I really want this picture to come out, perfect the way I want it. And you're always there. You're always, giving me ideas, say, move the lights or try this or shoot with your camera in landscape.
Such simple things.
I know some of the things I was like,
But
light bulb
it's
moment there.
hard. Like when you it's in second nature to you, it's hard. And it takes time for things to become second nature. It takes time for, I mean, there's things even now where like the light will be super funky one day and I'm like, okay, let me think through this. Like, why is this happening? Where is, like, I'm moving my hands around, where is this reflection coming from? You know what I mean? It's like we're all do it. We all
Yeah.
start somewhere, and we all have to continue to learn and keep growing. And that's the thing is I'm so proud of you because you do show up, and you show up for yourself, and you utilize the support, you get the questions answered. And that's why you've had such great success. Like you've showed up for yourself. So high five to you. Pat yourself on the back. You've done wonderful. And thank you so much for showing up today to share your experience. And yeah, just appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey maker, I know you've perfected your craft and you create amazing products, but you really struggle to take product photos that truly reflect the quality and value. And this is losing you sales. Learn the Maker's Method for taking scroll-stopping product photos that attract more customers and make more sales and money for your business without the headache and cost of becoming a professional photographer, so that you can get back to doing what you love the most, creating your products. Learn more at themakersmethod.com. That's themakersmethod.com.